Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up in just a few moments in our entertainment and pop culture segment brought to you by OGPay.com, we're joined by four celebrity dads sharing their fatherhood experiences and some great advice. Now, some celebrity parents are extremely strict and known for limiting technology or focusing on disciplining their kids. Others choose a more laid back approach. Some spoil their children with expensive gifts and lavish vacations, while others give their kids the freedom to find their own paths in life. They're actors, directors, producers, and big time stars, but to their kids, they're plain old dad. Celebrity dads often get a bad rap for being absent or disinterested in their kids' lives, but there are plenty of famous fathers who are actively involved and present in upbringing their kiddos. Parenting might not be the easiest thing, but these celebrity dads seem to have been able to handle it quite well so far. I've rounded up four famous fathers to speak about being a parent, from what it means to them to funny memories to balancing out their Hollywood game. Today, we're joined by actor Frank Grillo, probably best known for playing Crossbones in Captain America, The Winter Soldier. He was also in Avengers Endgame and What If. Now, if you're not a Disney fan, you've probably seen him on Billions. We also have actor Paul Ben Victor joining us today, best known for playing Greek mobster Spiros Vondoplloulos on HBO's The Wire. Recently, you may have seen him in The Irishmen, or currently, he's in The Plane with Gerard Butler and also in Emancipation with Will Smith. We're also chatting today with Brad Feinstein, CEO of Romulus Entertainment, best known for producing The Banker with Sam Jackson and Anthony Mackie, Halle Berry's directorial debut Bruised, Margot Robbie's Dreamland. He also executive produced on Fences with Denzel Washington and on Tin Soldier with Jamie Foxx, that's out this summer. Lastly, his biggest accomplishment of all, marrying me. Brad is joined by superstar director Eif Rivera, a Bronx Walk of Fame 2022 inductee, famous for directing ultra-rich music videos for some of the world's biggest artists, from Cardi B to 50 Cent to French Montana, to now directing TV series Black Mafia Family and Power Book 3 for Starz. Impressive lineup, I would say. Welcoming now to the show are my Hollywood dads. Thanks for coming on, gentlemen.
Hi.
Eve, nice to have you on.
How are you?
Paul, thank you for joining us again.
It's great to be here. Great to be here.
Brad, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy. All right, let's dive right into it. Frank, I'm going to start with you. Your boys are pretty much all grown up at 15, 18, and 20 something, but they still very much need you. Has your relationship with them always been healthy? What is the hardest part of being a celebrity dad? And do your kids want to follow in your footsteps?
We've always had a great relationship. I got divorced from my wife of 20 years 3 years ago, but we remained co-parents in the best of ways. And I have a great relationship with my sons. They're with me half the time. My big guy lives with me all the time. He just directed his first movie, which I was in, which comes out in March. So he's doing pretty well. And I never kind of, the whole celebrity, I basically lived my life very quietly, and so they have a very normal upbringing, and so they're not, I mean, aside from my little guy who's a Marvel fanatic, it's all very normal, and by design. I don't expose them to. I'm not a big fan of Hollywood. I often say I'm in Hollywood, but not of Hollywood.
I love that. I love that because you have to actually keep it separate. And I'm going to segue with that to Eve. Eve, he's in Hollywood, but he's actually not Hollywood. So Eve, you've always been surrounded by huge music acts. You've worked your way from the bottom to the top, from music videos to feature films. Does your son acknowledge your success? How do you balance fatherhood, him being a teenager in your career? You have a lot going on.
Yeah, I think to Frank's point, I don't put him in that light. Like, he doesn't understand exactly what I do. And I think he's very surprised sometimes when he sees my name come up on a TV show. It's like I literally have to point it out to him, right? But he's just in a world of his own, you know what I mean, and going to school and just being a good kid. And I kind of just, harness that and just make sure that, he just remains a good kid, right? And just studies hard. So
I love
You
that. And
know,
then
yeah.
do you have an ongoing relationship with him where he shows some kind of interest in the arts? Do you inspire him in any capacity, or are you just letting him
Yeah.
spread his wings?
No, well, there are times where we both sit down, and he loves to draw as well. So like I'm an artist as well, so we sit, and that's how we have a lot of our time. So we'll just sit there and we'll just draw some stuff out, some of the stuff that he loves, right? Like characters and stuff like that. And, to Frank's point, Marvel, like he's a huge Marvel fan, so we talk a lot about that. But as far as like Hollywood and stuff, I don't think he has interest in it as of yet. I'm hoping that hopefully this summer I get him into something and just kind of let him see what it is, and hopefully he sees something that he likes within the culture of Hollywood.
I love it. So there's a theme going on. You shield him from the Hollywood game and just kind of keep it real and homey. I love that. Paul, we'll shift to you. Tardy to the game, my friend, but better late than never. Congratulations. You now have a 15-month-old Arabella. She's adorable. She's beautiful. But you did express to me that kids were never in part of your plan, and now you have this beautiful baby girl. How has this changed your perspective on life? And did everything just get 10 times harder?
10 times harder. It just shifted. Definitely was not what I was thinking of doing as the middle-aged man that I am. I like to say middle-aged, I don't know what's old or not, but no, I was not thinking about getting up at 6:30 and changing poopy diapers and like that at my age, and chasing a little kid up and down. But it's a new life. I had a very long, young life being a single guy for almost forever, and now I found a terrific young gal, and I just have to suck it up when people say, "Oh, Grandpa," and I go, "Yeah."
Oh no!
Like that. I get that once in a while, not a lot, but is that your grand? Once in a while.
Oh boy. Well, you know what? Just keep your head up there. To you, she's dad.
She's amazing and
She is
beautiful, really, really brainy and beautiful. Yeah, she's a treat. We got lucky. We got
God bless.
Because you hear
God
about.
bless her and you.
Thank you. Yes.
Brad, we're going to shift to you. So we have kids together ranging from age 7 to almost 21. And although I have helped raise them all, what is the most challenging part of being an active father and a very, very active film producer? How do you balance set life and fatherhood?
I mean, the one thing that I've always made sure I did was no matter what my time was with my kids, my 2 older kids who I don't, share with you other than as a step parent. When I had visitations with them, no matter where I was in the world, I always got on a plane and flew home. And whatever that cost, whatever that was, but I never missed any time with my kids to make sure I kept my relationship with them. And being on the road, 300 days a year, I know Frank's on the road a lot too. And, it's very, very hard to do, but you have to make it a priority, and you have to make your kids the most important thing in your planning. So I always plan around that. Whereas our little one that we share, she's been on set with us all over the world. She's been to almost every state in the country. She's been to multiple countries. She's always on set. She's grown up around set. She'll step on set and try to call action, sit in the director's chair. She knows her way around a movie set. Whereas my older kids probably were not as exposed to the life of film. Alexa's been in 2 movies now as an actress. But what's interesting is my older kids are both showing interest in the business. My older daughter's in film school, and my son, who's 17, almost 18, is really interested in maybe going into the business. So I think that they do sort of get some of it by osmosis, by connecting, by being there, being around, watching films with you, spending time together. So I think that there is sort of an interest. I mean, in the old days, if your father was a cobbler, you became a cobbler. If your father was, a salesman, you became a salesman. So it's not surprising that, the kids are interested in the business.
I love it. Yeah, and you definitely instill the arts in every moment you get with them by taking them to really interesting premieres, by exposing them to the culture, by bringing them on film sets, by showing them all kinds of different movies and exposing them to different producers, directors. They meet tons of characters, and they can draw their own conclusions on which direction they want to go and if they want to be in front or behind the camera. So I definitely commend you for that. You navigate that very well without putting pressure on them to have to enter the industry. And that's one thing I've always noticed. All right, Frank, this question is for you. As a dad, What keeps you up at night? And what advice do you have for fathers who are too busy prioritizing their children, telling themselves, they don't need me all the time, they have mom?
I'll tell you what keeps me up at night is, I'm divorced. My children live in the Palisades half the time, and I'm in Hollywood, which is quite of a distance away. I worry about when they're not in my periphery. And I also have a son who's on the spectrum. And he's great, but I often lay up at night wondering, which is a very slippery slope, wondering about what his future is going to be. So I'm concerned about, the emotional health of this kid and making sure he gets all the things that he can get. So my ex-wife and I are really on top of kind of managing his life so that he has a healthy, successful life. So that's a big part of it as a parent. People think, I'm going to have kids, it's all going to be easy. And then you have a kid who's not typical, and you've got to work hard and become the CEO of his corporation and make sure he has a successful life. And I say this to parents who say, even if they have to think about prioritizing their children, you're thinking the wrong way. I don't care what you do. I don't care if you're president of the United States, your kids are your priority. And, I grew up with parents who were my father, immigrant parents and from Italy and had no money, had me very young. And they didn't prioritize us because they couldn't. And, it led to a lot of problems. And that, I did a lot of searching and therapy to kind of work through all that stuff. So you must prioritize your kids. I don't care how young or how old you are, how busy you are. Everybody's busy these days. So you got to prioritize your health and training and making sure you stay physically and emotionally fit. You got to take care of your children first.
Thank you so much for that transparency. That was extremely, extremely helpful, not just for me to listen to, but I think for a lot of people in your situation who think that everything that glitters is gold and people judge a book by its cover, and we know how that goes. I'm going to segue into another question here, but I do want to circle back on, of course, being cognizant of social activism and disability awareness. We have to be completely aware of all of that, whether it's somebody on the spectrum, whether it's, Down syndrome, whether it's San Filippo. I mean, these are very real issues that parents deal with every day. Paul, Arabella, okay, with a new baby comes more responsibilities. What is your current pressure? She's 15 months old.
A lot of it is just worrying when I'm on the road. When I have to leave, I got to sort of get the place set up. I mean, she's our first, she's Callie's first as well. So we're just learning the ropes. And Callie, sadly, doesn't have her folks with us anymore. So we're duking it out, on our own. But, to Frank's point, I kiss the ground and, kiss up to God and that she's healthy. And, you think about those things every day. This kid come up with that, this kid's having trouble with that. And we're just, crossing our fingers that she's, that she stays healthy. Health is the most important thing. Healthy education, everything else is second. But, that's something to worry about. But right now we're in a very joyful place. So we're really her as much as possible. She's incredibly entertaining. So she's a riot. She's a laugh a minute, So
Good. Well, there's definitely the theme of good health is extremely important. That's what every parent wants for their kid. It's going to lay the foundation for everything to come. Without health, we truly have nothing. We're going to cut to a commercial break. We'll come right back. Don't move a muscle, my dear friends. We'll be right back after this. That was our entertainment and pop culture segment brought to you by OGPay.com. We're chatting with actor Frank Grillo and Paul Van Victor, CEO of Romulus Entertainment, Brad Feinstein, and director Eif Rivera. We'll be right back with more. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. Don't move a muscle.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OG Pay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OG Pay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcoming back to our segment, we are talking to our famous Hollywood dads, and we're coming back with a question for Eif Rivera, director Eif Rivera. So, Eif, people are very quick to assume everything that glitters is gold. We just talked about it. People judge a book by its cover, but not all is typically what it seems, and fatherhood comes in many forms. You have many responsibilities, including being a father figure to your brother as well. Tell me about him, and if you can demystify one stigma, what would it be?
Right. I mean, I think for the most part, people automatically assume because they either see you on TV or they see you working in Hollywood that your life is perfect, right? And as we clearly know, it's not true. We all have our individual stories that goes on within our families. For me, I have a brother who's born with Down syndrome, and he lives with me. You know what I mean? I have to deal with that every day, just taking care of him, making sure that he's good. So, for me, like my dad passed away when I was 12 years old. So I know what it's like wishing you had someone there to just kind of, help you along this journey of life. Right. So for me, again, it's just like being a father it's, to my son. And I try to convey as much about life as much as I can. And also just be there for him. My biggest worries is just not being there for him. You know what I mean? And so I try to do everything that I can to again guide him and just be there for him and sort of protect him, and not have him. The one thing I'm grateful for is just not having him raised the way I was raised in the South Bronx, on welfare and just kind of fighting your way all the way to get to a point that you can breathe, so to speak, and make it out of there. So I'm proud of that, just to be able to have my son out of that element, and hopefully again just being raised the right way.
You're a good man, Eve. You're a good man. Not everybody would be doing what you're doing in your shoes, but family holds a lot of value to you, and so do traditions. And rewriting the narrative seems to be like what you're all about, truly. And I love that you're rewriting your family's narrative. Brad, balancing fatherhood with an ex-wife and setting a good example to the kids can be a daunting task for even the most civilized divorced people. Kids get weaponized and caught up in emotional messes all the time. What advice do you have for fathers out there currently contemplating divorce?
Um, that's a tough question. I mean, look, I think everyone's personal journey, if they choose to get divorced or stay together, I think the priority is making sure the kids are happy and they're seeing a stable, calm environment in the house, and love between the parents, and always try to give them a loving environment.
But in general, divorce is not an easy task. People often think, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. They choose not to tough it out. So I always tell people to pause, listen, evaluate, and of course, put the kids first. It always comes down to the kids. That's the theme of this entire show. It's balancing out children, whether you're in a divorced family, whether you're coming from a divorced family, whether you're balancing out a child with a disability and blending that child in with a normal household. I mean, there's a lot going on. So yes, the theme is prioritizing children. I couldn't agree more. Frank, at what point do you close the bank of dad and tell the kids they need to start paving their own way? And and what are your thoughts on Hollywood nepo babies?
Never.
Um, Hollywood, what babies?
Nepo babies, nepotism.
Well, the bank of Frank never closes for the kids. Look, I grew up in the Bronx, again from family from Calabria, Italy, with no money, and it was miserable. And I've been fortunate in my life to have money, and so my kids have money. Now, I teach them how to respect the money, and that it's daddy who's carrying the bucket up the hill to get the water. So they understand that, but they live a good life. And it's by design so that they don't have the stresses that I had. And they could focus on education and their social health and all the good stuff that kids should do. You know, I often say you're only as happy as your least happy child. And I have happy kids, and they're successful in what they're doing. Um, and so the bank stays open.
I love it. I love it. And I love your analogies. That's the Calabria in you that comes up with these analogies. Jack and Jill went up the hill. This time it's Frank granting the pail of water. My grandparents would say the same thing. But that was a great answer. The bank stays open. Good. With boundaries. So, Paul, let's shift to you. Fatherhood is going to test you at every age, I promise. But children bring on a type of joy that's profound and very meaningful. Your relationship with her mom is just as important as your relationship with her. What did your pregnancy experience teach you about women that you never knew?
About women that I never knew? Well, right away I flashed to the birth. I'm sorry. Wow. I was just telling
Women are much tougher than men.
Oh my God. I mean, it was not easy. I don't know if Kelly, I'm not going to go into crazy detail, but there was, I don't know what your doctor did, but they bring in like a village. I thought I was in some crazy country. They were chanting, Sinai, they're chanting, oh, 1, 2, counting in different languages. I thought I didn't know where I was. And it was rough. It was rough, and it was messy, and she's great now. But wow.
Well, your answer said it all. I think you see women very differently now.
Oh my God, I have a whole new respect for Callie, but also her love, her connection with the baby mine's wonderful and beautiful and loving. I love it to death. But the two of them have a connection that I can't go near. When she wants mama, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, you could go on and on about women, and also her love for her in the middle of the night. Last night she was having a nightmare, and Callie just stayed up and petted her and made sure she was okay until she was okay. It took a half hour, and I'm sitting there. I gotta get up. I got a podcast in the morning. Get me, and I cared, but her feelings, it's like her. They're like one. So a mother-daughter relationship is very unique.
It's very unique. Yeah, definitely. Okay. Well, Eif, we're gonna move to you. I love that really made an impact on you, Paul. Thank you for your transparency. So, Eif, supporting your family, planning for the future, and properly investing your money, I know are very important to you. Your son is watching everything you do, whether you know it or not. How important is financial literacy to you, and should this be a top priority to teach our kids?
For me, it's very important, right? And to like Frank's point, like I came from nothing, right? So I feel like I'm the one leading the way to the money, right? Like to the bank. And so everything for me just very cautiously. And, early on, I learned about investing through my previous job, which I won't talk about that. But, I learned how to invest and get into stocks and all that stuff. So, I'm teaching my son that as well. And just very, very careful with how he spends his money, how I give him his money, right? He's 18 years old, just going to college. And, but it's almost like he still has this mindset of a young teenager, right? And so he doesn't understand the value of money. So I think in time, the more I teach him, he'll learn more on how to save and just try to create something, that's going to last for his family. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, what was the other question?
Oh, I was just, that's it. Should we
Okay.
be teaching financial literacy to our children? I mean, a lot of people just
Yeah.
don't, especially people with money. A lot of people with money don't even cover investing with their kids because we're so busy doing it for ourselves that we think that we're going to invest for them. But I just feel like that's just a flip upside down solution to, having them pave their own financial independence.
Right. Right.
All right, so we're almost at the end here. The last question is something for all of you, and we can have Brad answer it first, but it's the same question for all three of you. I just want different perspectives. So navigating Hollywood, staying relevant and afloat are tough stuff. I mean, Hollywood is very woke, very whiny, and very liberal. Cancel culture is especially real for men. One bad choice and you're done. How have you managed to remain relevant and out of bad press after decades of work? And what advice would you have for your younger self, Brad?
Don't make bad choices. If you don't act like an asshole, you're not going to have problems with people. If you're respectful with other people, you're not going to have problems in the Hollywood cancel culture of it all. Be respectful with people, go about your business, focus on your family, go home at the end of the day.
Okay, I'll take that. Good answer. Frank, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, just to dovetail on that, it's, you know, I'm 57 years old, so the whole woke culture and Me Too, and it's a bit overwhelming. I stay home. I don't. I'm not a good time Charlie, so I stay with my kids. I work hard. I try not to get involved with the politics of Hollywood. That's kind of it. I go to the gym. I go to work. I take care of my kids.
And advice for your younger self, what would that be?
Just shut your mouth. You know, I used to be full of piss and vinegar, and I love being a nonconformist and challenging people. I grew up as a fighter, so I love a good fight, and doesn't serve me. So smile and wave, walk away.
Be Switzerland. There you go. Eif, what about you?
For me, I've always been just stay grounded and stay focused. You know what I mean? Grounded and focused, and just have respect for everyone else and the jobs that they have. Right? Like they wouldn't be where you are if they suck. Well, you hope that's the case. But for me, it's always been about that. It's just kill all the noise around you, read as much as you can, study as much as you can. Really dig into the craft and understand what it is you want to do, and just have a goal, right? And again, just staying focused, and that's
Staying focused.
Yeah.
Stay the path, stay the course. Paul, what about you? How have you survived for decades without being canceled, bad press, and what advice would you have to give to your younger self?
Well, glad you asked me last, because I got to listen to three really great, fulfilling, smart answers from these three guys, and I just did all of them. Mind your business, just be a good person, as Brad was saying. Don't be be a good person. And I, like Frank, when I was younger, I was combative with certain people I feel bad about, just not in terms of, I learned a little later, how I don't call this a job. It's how many of us can do this, right? Like 9,000 people are lining up to get one little, and we've made careers, all of us, out of this for decades. So I realize how lucky I am to do this now, and I try to stay grateful as much as you want to fight and get in for that next job or the next level up and all that. So just trying to stay really grateful for what we have, and to have come this far, and coming out clean is
coming out clean is so important. Well, the one theme that we have learned throughout this entire interview is that you all prioritize family and children first. You all stay the course, work very hard, don't insult anybody, are humble individuals, and are men of your word. And that's extremely important in Hollywood. I want to thank you all for coming on. It was very enlightening chatting with you. I loved hearing the perspectives. Typically, we don't have all men cover the first half an hour of our show, but as in the 100th anniversary, I definitely wanted to feature a different side, a different perspective from your usual millennial mom that listens to us, because this is just as important. Dads work just as hard as moms, and it's our job to make sure that we level the playing field for everybody involved. So thank you for coming on, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks for
having us.
That was our entertainment and pop culture segment brought to you by OGPay.com. That was actors Frank Grillo and Paul Ben Victor, CEO of Romulus Entertainment, Brad Feinstein, and director Eif Rivera. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.